again for doing this video interview. I know it's kind of odd, but it's very class. So, without further ado, let's get started with this.
Okay, shoot. You wanted to ask me some questions. I know that we reviewed those questions on the phone, but I thought about them for a little bit, but I'm ready when you are.
All right. So the most pertinent one to start with, I think, would be, as a manager, how do you get your people motivated?
Well, that's a good question. You did ask me that question. Yes, you did. It's a big issue. People get burned out. So I try to move people around to different stations. And I like to let people have some time to be creative and do stuff outside of what we're normally preparing. And we do little things. We try to make it a team. There's a lot of camaraderie. We had a guy who was spent a night in jail for a traffic violation, couldn't make it to work. We gave him a hard time. But when he came in, we baked him a cake and we put a file in it. It was a big laugh. We all had a good time over it. But things like that to try to break up the monotony of the production.
That's awesome. That's great. Now that you mention it, I am noticing that we've been actually doing that in school a lot. We switch up our jobs to keep us interested. That's
Right.
very interesting. So, when employees start butting heads and disagreeing, how do you resolve conflicts?
Well, it's a big part of the management part of the job. It's and you never get used to how ridiculous some of the disputes are. So conflict resolution is a big part of it, along with all the other corporate kind of things that we do. But it's just basically dealing with people. You've got to, sometimes you got to be tough. One of the things I'll try to say, I try to get them to resolve it on their own. I go through the 3 steps of conflict resolution, but ultimately I tell them, look, if you want me to decide, neither one of you are going to like the decision because I'm going to make it fair. And it's not going to, does that make sense? So, you're going to end up mopping over here even though you didn't want to, and you're going to end up doing part of this. I'll divide what they dispute in half between the two, which neither one of them are going to like. And that tends to get people to try to resolve the issues on their own.
You mentioned 3 steps of conflict resolution. What are those 3 steps?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's all right. So, as a manager,
I'm supposed to know those, but no one else is going to see this video, right? I was supposed to know those. It's in the book, but I've kind of adopted my own way. That's why I said that's in reality. I end up saying if I have to resolve this, neither one of you are going to like it, even though I should be following those 3 steps.
Yes, I've heard that exact expression before, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, as a manager, you guys deal with a lot more stress than a regular employee does. So, how do you personally deal with that stress?
How do I personally deal with that stress? You did ask me that question. That's a tough question. I have a lot of hobbies outside of what I do for work, and I like to do those. Spend time with my son and play RC cars and do things like that. And we like to do a lot of projects. So the same techniques that I use at work to get people, motivated, I use, for myself, and I think that's where I get it from, So we do special projects outside of our normal production, and when I'm at home, we build stuff out of wood or whatever, and, that's kind of how I do it.
All right, so you kind of delve into another project as a stress reliever.
Yeah, something that's fun that people can relate to what they're dealing with, or if someone's got an event, we'll help produce something for them, or at home, we'll do we'll build something for the things that we do.
So, what are some of the more relevant challenges of being a manager you encounter? And then on the opposite side of that, what are some of the joys that you get out of being a manager?
Well, they're related, okay? Because the stress and the challenges are, always increasing quality assurance and performance metrics to corporate. The bean counters want to know. There's a lot of numbers involved. There's a lot of new procedures for different kinds of lean management and just-in-time new inventory models that they're always testing, trying to improve efficiency, yields. And there's a stress of dealing with vendors is always a big issue. Nothing can prepare you for that kind of thing right there. But then, getting through those challenges and seeing some of the new technologies, the new equipment, come online, and some of the new policies and procedures that do work. When there's success, that's always good. And it's good to have a good rewards program from corporate to kind of reward you for some of those good performances.
Cool. So, when you first started in a managerial type job, I'm sure you had some kind of view or picture in your head of how it was drawn. Could you tell me about that and then how it changed today?
Could you be more? I don't totally understand the question. You mean, like, did I have a picture in my head of what it was going to be? I did. I thought it was going to be a piece of cake, and I thought it was going to. I thought I knew what I was going to encounter when I first started this my career, and it's not. I mean, what you end up with is something completely different. Not that it's bad; it's just different. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
So what specific management tactics have worked well for you?
Well, I'm managed by objective, so I like to, because it's a very military, almost a militaristic environment. So it's take that hill, it's about production and value, and we try to put challenges in and get the team working to, the brigade to, take the hill. And then afterwards it's like, yay, we've done this, and so, there's numbers that we hit and there's performance metrics, and I share those performance metrics with the staff on an ongoing basis. I have a dashboard that everybody can see, and they see how the performance is doing, and I rate it, and I'm supposed to, and that helps, Does that answer the question?
Yes, sir. So, what are some of the mistakes that you made early on in your career that you would advise a new manager to attempt to avoid?
Well, I think probably, it's really the way you get along with people. That's probably the biggest thing. So in my particular line of work, I deal with behavioral technicians and other people that are with the client that we're serving, and so there's kind of a gap there, and because we're in a facility, and we're in many facilities, and so there's that. There's that profession. They want things done a certain way. We have guidelines we have to follow, and there might be some wiggle room in there. And so I think the biggest challenge was really not trying to my little area is my territory, but not trying to take over and step on their toes, if you will. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's probably the biggest. Just try to get along, and not, because when you're running the kitchen, when you're running that, or your general manager, it's a different environment than when you go into the corporate or when you go into the establishment that you're serving, and they're different mindsets. So you've got to kind of take a look at it from their point of view, and sometimes you got to eat a little crow. No pun intended.
All right. So we're going to end this little interview with a biased personal question. Just basically, what is your general philosophy on managing people?
Well, again, my general philosophy on managing people is manage by objective, and treat them as you want to be treated. And you've got to motivate them. You've got to care about them. You really, I know what's going on with all of my staff. I know their wives, their children. I know what they're going through, and we try to help them. Because there's I mean, you're with these people 8, 10, 12 in some big production environments. You're there, 18 hours. You know everyone's business. And you've got to help them through it. People have issues. They come to work. They don't want to. It's hard to get focused and get part of the brigade when they've got, they just got a traffic ticket last night, So you try to lighten it up and get everybody kind of motivated that way. Again, it's got a very military kind of structure. There's definitely the hierarchy, but everyone's very professional. You get on there and it's go time. Does that make sense? Okay.
That makes perfect sense. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
You're welcome.
Your insight has been great, and I can't stress enough how much I enjoyed this and how much I appreciate you doing this. So that's all I have for you, and thank you again very much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you you're welcome, Alex, and it was a pleasure. Anything to help out someone coming up in the field, and if you have any other questions, feel free to give me a call, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.